I know some may be getting tired of the Will Smith and Chris Rock incident prompted by Will Smith and his wife Jada Smith. But Ruach gave me a message for you to consider, and for the most part, I'm done with this shameful, foolish act also, unless he gives me more. Personally, I don't think this event will go away anytime soon, perhaps for the remainder of the year, maybe until the end of summer. Nonetheless, here is what the Ruach HaKodesh put in my spirit. Please share or ignore, as some have already told me they just ignore my posts. HSY.
Jezebel is a name mentioned 2 times in the Bible, in Malachim Aleph and Malachim Bet. There is an entire account of Jezebel in those 2 books. Jezebel was the queen of Israel and married to King Ahab. Ahab is considered a bad king because he condoned the actions of his Phoenician wife, Jezebel. She was the principal one who influenced the death of Naboth, so her wicked king husband could possess Naboth's vineyard. Jezebel's most noted action was influencing the northern kingdom to worship the idol goddess Ashtoreth, which is the origin of the god of Easter. Ashtoreth was a female deity and the goddess of the sun. Ashtoreth was believed to bring light to the soul, understanding to the mind, and particularly worshipped by all the men of the northern kingdom because of the influence of Queen Jezebel. She had most of the Hebrew prophets slain because they obviously posed a threat to her idolatrous goddess. Ashtoreth with the title Baal, meaning owner or lord. Baal is the same name transliterated in the KJV as Lord. Jezebel dressed in costly array, beautifying her face and eyes and eyelashes to please her god Ashtoreth, queen of the heavens. When you look at famous actors, many of them present themselves as some kind of queen, adopting the trivial phrase kings and queens, but live like harlots and prostitutes full of whoredom. Jada, on that particular night, wore a long, ruffled green dress. The color green is mentioned 44 times in the KJV. 20 of these come from the Hebrew word ra'anah, Strong's Concordance H7488. That word means verdant, a bright green color of lush grass, new, fresh, flourishing, symbolizing prosperity. It only takes a brief look for one to see Mrs. Jada and any woman parading themselves as some kind of queen in their own mind, but are actually women of worldly prosperity. Hollywood women and many Christian women who look up to these Jezebels have been deceived, thinking they are self-made queens. There are 2 types of queens in the Bible: queens who ruled a kingdom and queens who were wives. But there's one notable characteristic of biblical queens: they always submitted themselves to the authority of the king. It was never the other way around unless the king relinquished his kingship. In biblical terms, that would be considered an evil queen and an awfully bad king. If you would relate Jada and Will Smith as some kind of king and queen, as the term is loosely used today, Jada would represent an evil queen and Will Smith an awfully bad king. In a monarchy, the king ruled his kingdom and he could have the queen put to death if she stepped out of line. All these kings and queens are nothing more than scripted actors provoking the entertainment palate of their foolish followers. I am reminded of an account in the Bible involving Queen Sheba, who heard of the wisdom of King Solomon of Israel. The queen approached the king with a caravan of valuable gifts, a gesture of honoring his kingship and submitting to his authority. The Bible says she came with hard questions for the king, and she came to Yerushalayim with a very great company, with camels that bore spices, very much gold, and precious stones. And she came to Shalomo, and she spoke with him about all that was in her heart. And Shalomo answered all her questions. There was no matter hidden for the sovereign that he did not make known to her. Malachim Aleph, chapter 10, verses 1 and 2, 1 Kings. This is the true nature of a king and the honorable spirit of a queen. It was never the other way around. Of course, every king did not possess the wisdom of Shalomo, but every queen honored the authority of the king. The most revealing part of the spirit of Jada and all women who pattern themselves after Hollywood fame is the meaning of the word Jezebel, an impudent, shameless, or morally unrestrained woman. Not only Jada, but a host of Hollywood women: Beyonce, Brandy Norwood, Gabriella, Grace Jones, Janet Jackson, Kerry Washington, Monique, Nia Long, Pam Grier, Queen Latifah, Robin Givens, Tyra Banks, Zarna Reed, ad infinitum. All these women are extremely beautiful, but their outward beauty is stained by their inward corruption. They perform all the acts and say all the words that are contrary to Scripture. A preacher once said to me, "But this is their job, brother. They're only doing their job." That statement will forever be superficial, because the decree and command from the Most High is this: let us hear the conclusion of the entire matter. Fear Elohim and guard his commands, for this applies to all mankind. For Elohim shall bring every work into right ruling, including all that is hidden, whether good or whether evil. Koheleth, chapter 12, verses 13 and 14. Ecclesiastes. When a man reacts or makes a vital decision that would harm others because his so-called queen pressured him to do so or influenced him in some way or another, that man is controlled by a woman with a Jezebel spirit. This is different from taking advice or considering options for a thing, but rather a decision to harm a person only because she wants her man to do so. If you're going to use the term king and queen, you need to know the nature and spirit of a king and queen. A Jezebel queen is always in the interest of her pride, her ego, her fame, and her beauty. A king who follows the laws and commandments of the Most High is always in the interest of the strength, betterment, and spiritual growth of those who follow him. Kings and queens is not some trivial term to throw around to boost your self-worth. Rather, it was actually a place of authority the Most High himself acknowledged. Hollywood Christianity and all those who pomp themselves in pride, arrogancy, fame, lust, and money are abominations to the Most High and do not represent his word. Such is the case with Denzel Washington's words to Will Smith, idle words, because he himself continues to live in a world that is anti-Elohim Yah. No matter how much Bible actors quote and no matter how many movies based on biblical precepts they make, for example, the Book of Eli, Hollywood will never ever please the Most High, and Hollywood actors will not please the Most High. Hollywood is fueled and driven by a Pergamon spirit where the seat of Satan dwells. This incident may very well be a shaking the Most High is doing as he is compelling all of Israel to come out of Babylon to hasten his return for his eternal kingdom on earth.